Hey, my name is David. I'm your co-host. I'm here with Jeremy, the host of the show, where we talk sports all day. So first thing we're going to get into, we're going to review some football games. So here in the past week, we've got a couple of games that we want to talk about. We're going to get Jeremy's feedback on those games. He's going to give us some insight, and we're going to go a little bit further in the show. So our first game that we're going to highlight is a shutout, Jaguars and the Falcons. Give us your thoughts on that game.
My thoughts on that game was an ugly game. Let's be honest about it. I think that Matt Jones coming into Jacksonville is going to be a resurrection to his career. Okay. I think that's going to really boost his stock for the next team that's going to want him.
Okay.
I think Travis Etienne, he's healthy. I think it was a good stepping stone for the Jaguars to see, are they the team that could possibly be a Super Bowl team. The Falcons look real ugly. I don't know if this is what they expected when they got Cousins. You signed him to a 4-year, $180 million deal, so you're not expecting him to lay an egg. So that's my thought on that game. It was an ugly game, folks. You can go back and look at the highlights, but it's not much highlights, but it was just a real ugly game for Atlanta.
It's just you watching Jaguars, basically.
Yeah, you're watching Jaguars. So I'm like, it was brutal. This is not the team that Atlanta expects to put on the field come the regular season.
Right.
Granted, Cousins did not play. A lot of their young talent did not play. So this is not the same Atlanta team you're going to get in the regular season.
Right.
But I do think this is the same Jacksonville team you'll get in the regular season. I think they are a real good team. So I'm thinking we're going to see how the season goes with that.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to jump to our next game. We've got the Bucks over the Dolphins.
Well, you got the greatest show on grass against the resurrection.
Okay.
The greatest show on grass. I mean, to think about it, they put up 70 points last year on an NFL team. I think that they got potential to do great things. And then you got the resurrection in Baker Mayfield, who was wrote off, former #1 pick,
right,
who was wrote off on everywhere else he went. So he's come to Tampa. He took him to the playoffs last year. They signed him at a bargain.
You think this is his comeback story?
Yeah, last year was his comeback story. This is his swan song.
Okay.
I mean, because when he signed there, nobody expected him to do anything. This is after Brady. He's got big shoes to fill with Tom Brady's shoes. So he takes them to the playoffs. I mean, granted, they did win a game in the playoffs against a struggling Eagles team at the end of last year. So I think that it's a resurrection to his career. They got him at a deal. They re-signed him at a 3-year, $100 million deal compared to what quarterbacks are getting now, average $50 million. So I think that was the story in that game to me. Baker didn't play but one series. None of the other starters played.
Right.
So that was, and Tua didn't play. Tyreek Hill didn't play. So if this would have been regular season, it would have been a barn burner.
Well, we can't wait to see the regular season game between these teams. So we got a unique one here. Our next game, 49ers and the Raiders. Who won that game?
Yeah, who won that game? I mean, it ended in a tie.
Right.
That was the craziest game of the night end in a tie.
Right.
I mean, you left your fans going home what?
Right.
So I'm kind of feeling you fans. I feel your pain. I want to know who would win too. Granted, Brock Purdy only played one series. They had that one interception. Josh Dobbs come in and played a pretty decent game with the number 2s. I think he did a good job with them. Then Peterson was the Raiders quarterback. They've given the job to Gardner Minshew. I think he's going to be a good fit with the Raiders. Because everywhere he has been a solid quarterback. I just think he gets the raw end of the deal.
Got it.
So I feel like,
you think he got a pretty good team system that he's in at this point?
I think he does. I like Antonio Pierce. He played for the Giants. former linebacker for the Giants. He's a tough, hard-nosed coach who's going to hold his guys accountable. So I think the Raiders are going to be, I'm not saying a playoff team, but I do think they're going to be a pretty good team that's going to give a lot of teams problems in the regular season this upcoming year. Okay.
Well, that's one to look forward to. Keep our eyes open on that team. So our final game that we're going to preview or review from the past week, the Bears over the Chiefs.
Wow, that was a shocker.
Yeah.
That's to me, that's the shocker of the week.
Okay.
You have the number 1 pick in Caleb Williams. Comes into your defending Super Bowl champions. 2-time defending Super Bowl champions. And hey, let's be honest with you. When you win by double digits in the NFL, you laid a shellacking. So I think that was the shocker. I wouldn't have picked it as an upset. No way, form, or fashion. But granted, the Bears have a good team. Everybody thinks just because you had the number 1 pick, or you're going to be a garbage team. When this is clearly not the case. When you traded for DJ Moore with the trade they made, you bring in Keenan Allen, who is he was a solid receiver with the Chargers. They bring him in. Then you draft the guy from Washington, Rome. He's gonna be a solid receiver in this league. And then you have the running game. Then you bring in defensive players. The Bears are not the same Bears anymore. So don't think just because they have the number 1 pick that they are a garbage team. The Bears, I really do think, are going to make some noise this year. It's just, can Caleb be that type of quarterback who doesn't let this get under his skin, frustrate him? You know, because there's been a lot of number 1 picks who that frustration. Because college and the NFL are two different things.
You think his role needs to be just managing the game, or?
No, play within the system.
Okay.
That's the main thing. Play within the system.
All right, we'll keep an eye on. So, we reviewed some games. Now we want to just look into really quick, for these last couple of weeks for these preseason games, is what we term as the play of the week or the play of the last 2 weeks. And this one is pretty impressive. What are your thoughts on the play of the week?
Man, the play of the week. You only thought backyard passes existed in basketball. Leave it up to Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Mr. Magic himself to do a behind the back pass.
Man, that's impressive.
In a live game. We ain't talking about practice, folks. We are talking about a live game behind the back to who else? His go-to guy, Travis Kelce.
Got to.
So, I mean, that to me, that is impressive all in its own. Shout out Patrick Mahomes on that.
I thought I only see that in basketball, so pretty impressive to see that in football.
Yes, man, that was a bananas play. But
definitely.
Who else to do it other than Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen. There's a clip I've seen of him too. It's a YouTube clip, I think, and he's actually demonstrating a pass where he's looking off and throwing the ball all the way across.
Yes, all across his body.
It's amazing.
The things this guy can do with his arm, I mean, is unbelievable. He's an unbelievable talent all in his own. But no look passes behind the back, and he does this in game. This isn't stuff. I mean, he does it in practice, but people think, oh, he's just messing around. Yeah. But when you come in an NFL game where you got defensive linemen who can run in the forward.
Come on. They're moving.
They're moving. You got corners and, you got all these 22 bodies, 22 different bodies, and you're doing stuff like this in a live game. Yeah. That is bananas.
That's impressive. So we look forward to seeing what the rest of the season has to hold.
Yes.
So that's a weekend recap. Let's take a look at some upcoming games. We want to preview the upcoming games we have. So the first one on our list, Ravens and the Packers.
Wow, this is a game. Looking at 2 playoff teams from last year, reigning NFL MVP. They signed Derrick Henry. It's going to be a game. My thing about this game, can the Packers shut that running game down? But if you put 8 and 9 in the box and say, I dare you to beat me with your arm, Lamar, he has proven he can beat teams with his arm. So that's where I'm at with that game. And
does that make the Ravens, are they a contender?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
They are definitely a contender. Be honest.
Are they over the top? Are they?
Yeah, they are. They
increased their odds of Super Bowl making it to the Super Bowl.
I can't say they increased their odds because they already was a good team.
Right. So now they had Henry.
They had Henry. But they was all, like I said, to me they was a good team.
Okay.
Henry doesn't take them over the top because they was there already. I mean, they had the #1 defense in the league last year.
Right.
Baltimore had. What scares me with Baltimore is they lost their defensive coordinator, who is now the coach of the Seahawks. So does their new coordinator, did he implement a new system? Does that change their defensive scheme?
Got it. Right.
So that changes a lot of dynamics and that, but I still say they are a Super Bowl contender. They are not a pretender.
Yeah.
And with the Packers, is Jordan Love worth the $50 million he just got? That's my question with the Packers. Was last year a fluke?
Right.
You get in the playoffs at a 9-8 record. Granted, you beat the Cowboys in the playoffs. So that's where I'm at with that one.
All right.
And I'm picking the Ravens to win it.
Picking the Ravens. All right. So we'll stay tuned and see how that turns out. All right. So our next game that we want to look at is the Steelers versus the Lions.
That's my intriguing matchup of the week.
Okay.
And when I say intriguing, you have the Lions who won 12 games last year. And be honest with you, if they weren't so aggressive, they probably would have made the Super Bowl. But they were so aggressive against the 49ers in the playoffs last year that possibly could have cost them.
Okay.
So I think that, on its own is intriguing. Then you got the Steelers. You made the playoffs with Kenny Pickett. You say, you know what, Kenny, we don't want you no more.
Right.
Get on out of town. You bring in Russell Wilson. He's a proven winner.
Right, he is.
But when he went to Denver, he wasn't proven anymore. You bring in Justin Fields, former #1 pick. He's shown flashes, but flash doesn't win in the league. You got to have sustainability. So they bring in those two guys to compete for the starting job. Who wins out? Only Mike Tomlin knows.
Right.
So that's my intriguing matchup of the week. Of course, the Steelers' defense is going to be the Steelers' defense. You still got T.J. Watt, who is a dominant force all in its own. You got Cameron Haywood, who's dominant. So that's my game. That's my intriguing matchup of the week. I'm seeing the Lions winning, not by much. I'm picking the Lions maybe by 3 points at the most. So that's where I'm at with that one.
Perfect. So we're going to tally up all his picks, all his wins, all the teams he picks to win. We're going to tally all those up for you. We're going to show you at the end of not just the games that we're previewing, but even the games we don't cover, so you can get an idea of all of his wins and losses and see how you fare against our man Jeremy here. All right, so our next game, Browns and the Seahawks.
This is my upset of the week.
Upset.
This is my upset.
Upset, okay.
This is my upset of the week, and the
fans don't get upset.
And the reason I say that is I think this is going to be an upset. It's in Seattle.
Okay.
That 12th man in Seattle is ridiculous, folks. I'm here to tell you, that crowd is like any other crowd in the NFL. Geno Smith, he got hurt last year. They could have been a playoff team. Pete Carroll's gone. They bring in as I said before, they brought in the defensive coordinator from Baltimore as their new coach. I think he's going to fix some things on that defense. Deshaun Watson is to me, he's still questionable. He's still questionable.
Not consistent enough for you?
No, he hasn't played like he did in Houston.
Okay.
Now, if Cleveland gets Houston's Deshaun Watson, they are a Super Bowl team.
Okay.
They are a contender for sure.
Okay.
But he hasn't stayed healthy. He hasn't played enough to say, I'm the guy that you're giving all this guaranteed money to.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Deshaun is a talent all of his own.
Yeah.
He just hasn't been on the field long enough in Cleveland to show that.
Okay.
So that's my upset, and I'm taking the Seahawks in the upset.
Taking the Seahawks. All right. So one more game that we want to kind of preview for you guys that's upcoming. We've got the Rams and the Texans.
Wow. You're looking at the old guard against the new guard. Yeah, you got Matthew Stafford, who is a veteran. He's been in the league. For a long time. He's been on some losing teams, and you like, why would you stick around?
Yeah.
You go to Los Angeles, you win a Super Bowl.
Man, I was excited for him though.
And then you got this up and coming Houston team.
Yeah.
You got offensive reigning rookie of the year and C.J. Stroud. You have two receivers that you drafted Tank Dell last year with C.J. You drafted Will Anderson in the same first round. They make the playoffs. They win the NFC. They win the AFC South, folks. They win the AFC South. To win the AFC South, you had to go through Jacksonville, Tennessee, Indianapolis.
Right.
As a rookie, that was impressive all in its own. So it's the old guard against the new guard, and I think the new guard is not just a good team. I think this is a Super Bowl team because they go out and get Joe Mixon at running back. They bring in Stephon Diggs, who is a Pro Bowler. Yeah. Multiple season Pro Bowler. So now you just added him to the top two receivers that you got, and you line those three up on the field together. I mean, it's pick your poison, folks.
It's going to be a show
in Texas now. I'm here to tell you.
It's going to be a show to see. Looking forward to that. It's going to be a show.
So, I'm taking the new guard. I'm old school, folks. So, any other time I'd have said Matthew Stafford all day. But with the loss of Aaron Donald, that kind of hurts that defense. So, I'm taking the Texans in this one.
Okay. We got the Texans. All right, so our final game. This is the upset of the week. So I know you had an upset before out of those games that we previewed. We highlighted some games that we highlighted, but the upset of the week, we've got the Vikings versus the Eagles. Oh.
Folks, you going to be real upset. The reason I'm saying the Vikings over the Eagles, look, don't criticize me. Don't send in the comments, oh, you crazy. I ain't crazy. This is why I believe this.
Okay.
And this is something. Minnesota has a good team. Minnesota was a playoff team before Kirk Cousins went down. If you don't go check the film, Kirk Cousins gets hurt. That changed the whole dynamic of that team.
Right.
So he's gone. Everybody's like, oh, well, he's gone. They don't have a quarterback anymore. They drafted J.J. McCarthy. He gets hurt. He's done for the year. Folks, I'm here to tell you, I think Sam Darnold has been written off. That they just don't think there's nothing left in him. I think he's a good quarterback who just been dealt bad situation. But this situation with Justin Jefferson, you got Addison. You have a decent running game. You have a good defense. I think this is the team that Sam Darnold can build on and become the player that a lot of people thought he was when he got drafted by the Jets. Okay. So that's why I'm picking the Vikings over the Eagles. And granted, the Eagles are a good team, a very good team, who made a couple of moves this offseason. They brought in Dobbs. They traded for Dobbs from Washington to give them a top number 3 receiver. They bring in Saquon Barkley. They still have Jalen Hurts. So I'm still taking the Vikings over the Eagles.
All right, so the Vikings, guys, this is the upset of the week. So we're gonna ride this thing out. We're gonna see what happens. Now, let us know in the comments any of the teams that you either agree with or disagree with in him. Any of the choices that he made. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Also, at this point, if you haven't, be sure to like and subscribe. Now, since we're talking about previewing upcoming games and teams, I want to go way into the season, to the end of the season, and let's do some Super Bowl predictions. And we're going to mark this Super Bowl predictions now. It can't be changed later. So
you say it can't be changed later?
It can be. So Super Bowl next year, 2025, is going to be held in New Orleans.
Superdome.
So we're going to give you our picks. Let us know your picks for 2025 Super Bowl. Go ahead and drop those in the comments. And we're going to start with you, sir. Who is going to be in the Super Bowl this time?
This time,
2025.
Wow.
Who we're looking at?
That's a hard one. There's so many good teams. You got the two-time defending champions who are playing good ball. The issue I have with them right now is the young receiver from last year who stepped up in a big role. He's got this lingering court case. That kind of scares me with that. I'm going out on a limb when I say this. I'm taking an all-Texas Super Bowl when I say this. And I'm pretty sure y'all think I'm crazy. But I'm taking an all-Texas Super Bowl. I'm taking Houston and Dallas Cowboys. I think if Dallas can get their guys signed, they play how they should play. Mike McCarthy gets them some discipline. I think they are a Super Bowl team. I think the 49ers might take a step back with this Ayuk situation. I think the Lions are a good team, but I'm taking the Cowboys, folks.
To win?
Yes, I'm taking the Cowboys to win. Mark it down today, taking the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl.
All right, and look, I'm a Cowboys fan, right? But I am a realistic Cowboys fan. I got to see us get out in the first round of the playoffs. Let me just see that consistently. So right now, I've got to go with the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. I don't care who they're going against. I got to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. They're strong. Three-peat. I know it's unlikely, unheard of. I got to go with Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes, we just talked about his behind-the-back pass. I got to go with Mahomes on this one. Until somebody can step up and beat these guys definitively, Kansas City Chiefs. 2025, put it on your calendar. They're going to win the Super Bowl.
That's a good pick. Granted, is a good pick. I just don't know. Three-peat is a difficult task. You talking about three-peating.
Hey, I know.
Three-peating is hard. It's hard enough to win one. Then you come back and win two. Everybody was already gunning for you.
Right.
So I think the Chiefs lost some things. They lost some Darius Sneed. I think that's going to hurt them in the secondary. Granted, you still got Chris Jones. Of course, you got Mr. All-American. You got the best thing since sliced bread in Patrick. Let's be honest. But I just don't think they quite have enough. Granted, when you do have Patrick Mahomes, you have enough every week.
More than enough. More than enough.
I just don't think they have enough team to win it. No knock on them. Do I think they're a playoff team? I think they are a playoff team. I think possibly, maybe even a AFC championship team. I just don't think Super Bowl. I think the Texans made moves to where they bolstered a offense where you potentially already had two 1,000-yard receivers if Tank Dell hasn't get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He's a 1,000-yard receiver. You got Nico Collins with 1,000 yards. Now you bring in Stephon Diggs, who in Buffalo was a consistent 1,000-yard receiver year in, year out. He did the same thing in Minnesota.
Right.
Now, does all this distraction that comes with him, does that come to Houston also? Mm-hmm. Because the knock on him is when he was in Minnesota, when he was ready to go, it was a distraction.
Right.
With Buffalo, when he was ready to go, it was a distraction. So can these distractions not be a distraction anymore? Mm-hmm. And you got those three receivers. Pick your poison. You can't double them all.
Okay. Well, we'll have to see. We'll see how the season plays out and see where we are. All right. So that's our Super Bowl picks. Let us know your picks. We want to know the two teams you think will be in the Super Bowl, as well as who you think is going to take it all. All right, so last things we want to jump into here really quick. So we got to do something where we want to recognize or identify rising star of the week. And essentially what we look at is whether it's a upcoming someone in high school or someone in college. And it can even be in the pros where they're kind of starting to make a name for themselves. We want to try to identify and recognize some upcoming athletes, some young athletes, as much as we can. So today we've got a young man out of Greenville, North Carolina. His name is Bryson. He goes by the name of Bryce. And he plays at D.H. Conley, and he's the middle linebacker. And so they've made some adjustments on their team. They've moved him from outside linebacker to middle linebacker now, and expecting some really great things from him, expecting triple digits in tackles this year. He also has some time in the running back spot. He's a 4.5, has a 4.5 speed. He's a track athlete. But in terms of football, we're expecting him to do some really great things. We're going to hopefully be able to get a highlight video to show you guys. And so with that, if you have a rising star, rising athlete that you'd like to showcase, put their name in the comments. Send us a highlight video. We'd like to take a look at it. And if they're nominated for the athlete of the week, the rising athlete of the week, we'll put that highlight video out. We'll give them a shout out and kind of talk about them. So we'd love to be able to do that for you. Nominate them in the comments. Send us that video. Our email will be in the description. But that is our rising star of the week, Bryson out of D.H. Conley.
Big shout out, Bryson.
Hey, we're looking forward to seeing your games and more highlight videos to come as well. All right. So after that, before we get out of here, we want to go to Jeremy for his closing thoughts, any closing remarks that he has that he wants to send us out.
Man, I got some closing shout outs. I got 3 guys I want to shout out. We're going to switch sports here. We're going to talk about baseball.
Okay.
I want to talk about Shohei Ohtani. Everybody thinks he wasn't worth that $70 million a year. He is the 6th player in Major League history to join the 40-40 club. Wow. That's an accomplishment all in its own. So, folks, if you think he wasn't worth it, he's showing you he's worth every dime. And he hasn't even pitched yet. So, wait till he starts pitching. Another guy Ellie De La Cruz, 22 years old. He's potentially maybe the next player to join. He's already got 60 stolen bases, 22 home runs. So I think he might be potentially the next player to join this elusive club.
Okay, awesome.
And he's a young guy. Watch out for him. And my last shouting, Aaron Judge. He hit 61 home runs last year. He broke the American League record. He's on pace to break his own record again this year. He's already got 49 home runs.
That's impressive. Very impressive.
So, I want to shout out those 3 guys. I know we don't talk much baseball on here. So, I just want to switch topics and give those guys a shout out for the effort and the work that they're doing. Because that's a hard sport that they play with baseball.
Well, that's awesome. Well, before we get out of here, again, I hope you like this video. Subscribe to it. We're going to keep all things sports, so we're going to cover everything from football, basketball, track. We'll bring you guys some tennis. We'll bring you some baseball. We'll bring you golf. We're going to try to cover a wide range of sports as often as we can. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.
All right. Have a good one, folks.